Shikues, në roa kthehemi përsëri në bisedë me kongresmenin Joseph Dioguardi. Zoti Dioguardi, në cilin vit juve keni hyrë në Kongresin Amerikan dhe si jeni ndjerë kur keni shkuar për herë të parë në Kongres?
It was an amazing experience, but you know, when you work hard for something, I left the business, the firm I was with after 22 years in April 1984. I was elected in November 1984, but for the year before that, 1983, I worked very hard to get around this because this district was very large, had 500,000 people, Westchester County. This is not the Bronx. We moved from the Bronx when I was 16, 1957. Now we're in Westchester County, which is a very beautiful area, expensive area, but had poor people too, so it was a complicated district. It was a challenge, but I felt I had to do it because I wanted to do something, as I said before, important. Now, could you imagine me? I'm now maybe a poor kid from the Bronx. Parents had very little education. I have now a hotel room in Washington, 1 block from the Capitol. And I'm getting up in the morning and I'm walking to the Capitol of the United States and I'm saying, oh my God, this is unbelievable. That I know I worked hard, maybe I deserve it, but this is incredible that I am now a US congressman. And I felt the emotion every day I walked into that Capitol, that now I had even a greater responsibility, not just to make money, not just to give a speech for some society. And I said, now I have to do something important for America. I'm the first certified public accountant. The biggest problem for America was the national debt. We're spending money we don't have, we borrow from countries we don't trust, and we're making the debt for the next generation. I said, this is not good. When I was born, my father was saving money for me, not spending my money, not going to the bank to borrow. So that was wrong. But then, later on that year, 1985, my first birthday party as a congressman, September 20th, 45 I was. Now I'm 75, that's 45, 30 years ago. My father and mother come to my party to raise money. Already I'm thinking about the next election. In America, the government doesn't pay for the elections. You have to get from the people. And that's when he was speaking to his youngest sister, Ida, and in Abresh, and Albanians from Yugoslavia working for my finance chairman, an Irishman, Bill Casson. They overheard him and they came running to me. Your father is speaking Albanian. We thought you were Italian. No, well, I am Italian, parents born in Italy, but we have this subculture with some different language. I have something to do with Albanians, something to do with No, you're from Kosovo. You're from Kosovo. You are Bresh. I said, where's Kosovo? Nobody in 1985. First of all, I had a good education. No one taught me about Yugoslavia except where it was on the map. I didn't know it had 6 republics, 2 provinces. It had Albanians, it had this and that. So when I went to the congressman, Bob Dole, and the people I knew, like Tom Lantos.
Përpara se të shkojmë tek suporti që I keni dhënë juve për çështjen mbar kombëtare shqiptare, kam dëshirë zoti Dioguardi të dinë dhe shikuesit gjatë periudhës që ju keni qenë kongresmen, cilat kanë qenë problemet atëre për politikën amerikane, ato më të rëndësishmet. Sigurisht ju I mbani mend.
The biggest problems back then were the deficit and the debt. Reagan was getting criticized, President Reagan, for spending money and making the debt higher and higher. Not as bad as today, but it started back then. But the biggest foreign policy, was the Cold War with Russia. You remember the meetings with Gorbachev, and you remember when he met him in Reykjavik, he even walked away from the table. Reagan was tough, and basically he said, we need to keep spending money because we need a strong defense. And sure enough, he was right, because he said, if we keep building our defense, Russia is not going to keep up with us. We have better economy than Russia. And sure enough, the Berlin Wall came down and we ended the Cold War. So that was the most important thing. at that time.
Bota ka ndryshuar shumë, zoti Dioguardi, por a jeni ju i kënaqur me ëndrrën tuaj amerikane? A jeni i kënaqur me ecuritë në të gjitha fushat e jetës të Shtetit Bashkuar të Amerikës? Besoj se ju dini se çfarë mund veçoni.
Well, today, the biggest problems are the complications on foreign policy. The Mideast is our biggest problem. The issue of terrorism, when we had 9/11, the buildings came down, and then President George H.W. Bush George W. Bush, we have two Bushes, the George W. Bush, the second one, he did some things that people criticize today because we broke up Iraq. We got rid of Saddam Hussein. We know he wasn't good, but it didn't get better, it got worse. So now, with President Obama, he is blaming President Bush, but President Obama went the other direction. He took the troops out of Iraq too fast and let ISIS come in. There's too much confusion now, and we may now have Iraq into three different areas with the Kurds, with the Sunnis, and the Shiites, so maybe it will not be a state anymore. But you know what? This could be good for the Albanian people, because once we change the borders here, maybe now we have to think about putting Prisheva back into Kosovo. And I'm thinking about this already, okay? The point is that on a foreign policy basis, it's not good when North Korea has a nuclear weapon and they are not logical in the way they think. It's not good when Iran is working to get a nuclear weapon. And you have this big instability now between Israel and the Palestinian people. You have the problems in Syria now with Russia coming in to help. You have now the Ukraine, where Russia is saying to NATO, I don't like you, you're too close to where I am, and now they supported the rebels in the Ukraine, mainly Russian troops, and you got instability there. So we need now a new president that's going to have to face these issues and do some important things like President Reagan did. And we're going to have to build again our military, because now China has aircraft carriers, Russia, you could see the weapons they're using in Syria, but how are we going to get that money? So now we have to really get rid of the waste in the American government. So I would tell you that, one, on the foreign policy side, it's going to be a challenge for us. Two, on the economic side, the challenge is that our national debt is $19 trillion just on the cash basis, but if you use the right accounting basis that I know about, it's over $70 trillion, and they don't even put it on the books. So we have some big things. People say, Joe, maybe you should run again for Congress. No, I think I can do better as a citizen where I'm independent and I don't have to listen who wants me to vote for this or for that. I have to make my own decisions, and it gives me now more time to help the Albanian people.
Zoti Dioguardi, unë dëgjova me vëmendje kur ju e folët për familjen, dhe dua të di pse ju keni zgjedhur Partinë Republikane.
Okay. Parties, for me, are not important. What's important is who are the people you're voting for, their character, are they honest, are they smart, do they have the right background? I believe I was that kind of a person. That's why many Democrats voted for me. Otherwise, I would never be a congressman. And the other thing is policy. What are your ideas? Do you know how to deal with these tough issues we face in the foreign policy area and on domestic policy, the economy? And I think I did the right things with those as well. So the choice of the party was just a practical choice. Why? Because the Democrats would never give me the nomination to go. They knew I was not thinking the way they were, so they wouldn't do it. The Republicans knew that I was a good accountant, a good businessman, and at least I had the chance to maybe get the nomination. Before you run, you first have to get the one party to nominate you. And that party that had the opportunity to nominate, they didn't want me either, the Republicans. So I had to fight with 7 other Republicans to win first and then get the nomination and go against the Democrats. So I'm not one of these so-called political hacks where I do favors for the party and they do a favor for me. This is the way it is in the Balkans, in Albania, in Macedonia, in Kosovo. Support my party, I will give you a job. No, I don't like this kind of politics. That to me is not right, and we got to change it. America has it too. It's called patronage. Not as bad as the Balkans, but we have to change that in the Balkans as well.
Faleminderit zoti Dioguardi, tani ju e pat vetë, kaloi koha shumë shpejt, duan përsëri tre këngë, pra muzikë.
Well, I think we'll have to shift to America, and I think when I think of America, I think of Frank Sinatra. You know, my daughter is a songwriter, and when she was only 12, I put her on the Waldorf Astoria for the Columbus Day Parade, and she sang 4 songs. And one of the songs she sang from Frank Sinatra was New York, New York. Start spreading the news. I'm king. That it was beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
So that would be number 1. And then another song that she sang that was done by Sergio Franchi first, and then Bette Midler was You Are the Air Beneath My Wings. In other words, when you have a good partner, it's easier to fly, to do things. You are the air beneath my wing. The other song that my daughter sang was from The King and I, the play, and that was getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to know you like me. Haven't you noticed? Suddenly I'm bright and breezy. See, when you're in love, everything is different. Everything is light. Everything is happy. And that song told me a lot about the positive side of life, getting to know you. I think we all have to know other people. This is a good song.
Të nderuar teleshikues, i ndjekim këngën, do të kthehemi përsëri në bisedë me ish kongresmenin Joseph Dioguardi.